Hello? Hello?
Podcast Network Asia.
What's going on? This is Xavier Woods, aka Austin Creed.
I said, give me a hell yeah!
Hey, this is Veda Zay.
Hello, WWE Universe in the Philippines. This is Charlotte.
Talent is not sexually transmitted.
You need to go back to the drawing board because your game absolutely sucks!
Hey everyone, this is Jeff Cobb.
I'm Lewis Howley. I'm Sam Scotia. We are pretty deadly. Yes, boy. Yes, boy.
Hello, my name is Ilya Dragunov, the star, the NXT UK champion, and you're listening to the Wrestling Podcast.
You're watching and listening to the longest-running weekly episodic Filipino wrestling podcast. This is the Wrestling Podcast. Stan C, Ro Moran, Chino Liao, and the returning Rowen ASH back on your screens and in your ear holes. Oh, Rowen, magparamdam ka na sa mga dabarkads mo.
Matiin mo sila.
I mean, I missed you all. I mean, did you really think I'm not going back in the live stream?
I don't think nobody thought that. They just missed you.
Yeah. Relax.
Why are you cutting a promo, Rowen?
Yeah. He coming in hot.
Naaway agad yung mga ano eh.
I mean, they figured baka mamaya they listened to our previous audio-only episode. Sinabi ko I'll be back in December, but surprise!
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Congrats.
No, congrats. You got a break from school because undas week.
Yep.
So you got a free nakasingit ka ngayon.
Yeah. Good to have Rowen back. Good to have everybody back in the crew. We've got a fuller house than usual as well in the comments. Thank you so much for joining us as always. If you're catching the audio-only version on Spotify or whatever podcatcher you're on, please don't forget to subscribe. Give us a 5-star rating as well. It goes a long way towards letting people know that you love what you're hearing here on the Wrestling Podcast. Syempre, it's a big week for us here in the wrestling community because we've got Crown Jewel happening over the weekend. And if you want to be part of the growing Wrestling Podcast patron community that will be enjoying Crown Jewel at midnight on Sunday, here's how you can be part of the fun.
Yes, sir. Got 2 pay-per-views this month. That's coming up first is Crown Jewel, as you mentioned, happening this Sunday night, starting at midnight until 3 or 4 a.m. So if you want to be part of that and the succeeding full gear watch party as well, all you got to do is subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/wrestling podcast. For as low as $5, you get access to our Discord community where we talk about a whole bunch of things and where we do the watch parties. We get exclusive review content, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Dynamite, Rampage, pay-per-views, premium live events here in the scene, local scene. And also you get merch. You get our reliable WWP face mask and malapit na ang Black Friday. So that means we are about to do a pasabay from online stores, WWE Shop, Shop AEW, Pro Wrestling Tees, Suplex from the UK, whole bunch of other places. Rowen, I think, is ready to join in the fun. If you can be a part of that just by subscribing, patreon.com/wrestling podcast for as low as $5 or whatever that is now in pesos.
Yeah. Batiin naman natin si babyface producer Gel in the comments.
Hey, Gel, what up, man? Everyone is here, even you. So that makes it special.
All right. Let's start with our news from outside the ring. And we got to talk about the Wall Street Journal report that says na there might be an imminent attack daw from Iran towards Saudi Arabia. And syempre, dahil may WWE event in Saudi Arabia, affected tayong wrestling fans, affected ang WWE. According to yung mga wrestling reporters, WWE reportedly has security protocols and emergency contingencies in place kung merong issue, and that WWE is also hopeful na everything will turn out fine and that Crown Jewel will proceed without any major hiccups or, any at all. So, what do you guys think about tong balita na to? Parang napaka-weird lang din ng timing na the week that a major show for WWE takes place in Saudi, biglang may ganitong hanash. Ro?
I think it's not a coincidence. I think the threat is because there's a major show, there's a major American thing happening in Saudi Arabia, in the Middle East. I think I don't know. I don't know how they're going to protect themselves from this. I don't know. You know, but does WWE have a private army that they can deploy to repel the attacks? When it was sariling, anti-air or bomb sniffers or whatever. I'm sure the Saudi authorities are able to do that, are able to protect them. But you never know. And honestly, I wouldn't put the boys and the girls at risk like this. Kung tayo nga, di ba, nagkaka-bomb threat sa school, sa college, di ba? Pinapauwi tayo. Why risk it just because there's big money on the line from Saudi?
Ikaw, Chino, what do you think about something like this? In the 4 years since WWE and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia have been working together, I think this is the biggest question mark in terms of, wow, can this really affect the entire event?
Yeah, it's interesting because this reminds me of an event that happened a few years ago nung pumutok yung volcano sa Reykjavik in Iceland, and a lot of the wrestlers got stranded, and they had to work around the entire rosters just so they could put up a show for that night, di ba? Parang nag-double booking ibang tao. Again, iba to kasi diba yun, natural disaster yun. Yung iwasan, this might be a terror attack or an act of war. But it also reminds me of that kasi there's a very real possibility that these wrestlers might fly to Saudi Arabia and might not be able to leave right away. It's a very real thing that needs to be addressed right now. And sana, dun sa dami ng pera na binabato ni ng prince ng Saudi Arabia dito sa event na to, and him building the line and whatever he has going on in this neck of the woods, sana na-consider din itong threat na to a certain extent, because it's a real serious consideration here.
Yeah, there's a report from Reuters that came out kanina that says that Iran is denying that it's posing a threat. So, they're naturally they're downplaying everything. Ikaw, Rowan, from the perspective of a wrestling fan who just really wants to enjoy wrestling wherever in the world it may be, how does this make you feel?
One thing we learned from the WWE is, despite any gulo or like real world event na mangyayari, they would still have the show go on. And I think magpo-push through pa rin sila kahit may ganitong threats na mangyayari. I mean, I remember back then, tribute to the troops. Kahit merong gulo, pumasok pa rin sila, like they had their event, nag-taping pa rin sila, and they went home safe naman. So I think it will be the same case.
People in the chat are referencing the travel issues from 2019. Yeah, what happened at the time was when the travel issues happened, the Raw superstars and the NXT superstars were all brought in. Sakto, it was about a week or two before Survivor Series, kaya they were able to write around it and justify na Raw and NXT were taking over SmackDown at the time.
Yeah. That was why Carl Anderson said he would never go back to Saudi ever again. And then now he's going back to Saudi, and then he screwed over NJPW in the process. And now there's this. So was it really worth it, Uncle Carl? So
sana hindi siya magsisi dun sa decision niya, diba? I mean, he's pag nasa he's gonna have that oh my god moment na isipin niya na pupunta siyang Saudi or Japan. Like, nandun siya sa crossroads ng terminal na yun. Sana pumasok yun sa isip niya before he boards kasi napaka what the fuck itong situation.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate na it appears to be, at the very least, a threat to everybody involved. So I just hope that everything goes off smoothly and nobody gets hurt. Everyone is able to fly in, do the show, and, get home as safe as possible, right? Okay, let's move on to some really sad news that we saw as we were having dinner just the other night. 1/3 of Migos, Takeoff, he passed away. Very violent incident involving a dice game. Na to me, as a fan of hip-hop, parang, man, a lot of these rappers lose their lives because of these sometimes just unfortunate and downright stupid circumstances. For those of you who don't know Migos, they were at day one. So that photo is from their appearance on day one. They accompanied RK Bro during their match against the Usos. Takeoff is the guy in the RK Bro shirt, yung katabi ni Becky Lynch na naka-black. So, yun, by all accounts, Migos were big wrestling fans, which is why they did make an appearance at the show. And yun, it's just really sad for those of us who follow hip hop here.
Yeah, you hit it on the head. Like, it's sad, it's unfortunate, it's also kind of silly. It's also senseless if we're being honest about it. Because an innocent guy didn't have to die like that, especially when people loved him so much and that he had a whole life ahead of him. So big loss din to for the wrestling community. Because anytime that someone in the mainstream supports our beloved sport, our beloved sports entertainment industry, big blow din yan. Kasi that's one less person who could fight for and itaguyod ang pro wrestling sa buong mundo.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Migos fan here, but syempre, I am a listener of hip hop, so syempre nakakalungkot, diba? It's very sudden that the guy, si Takeoff, died under the age of 30. Medyo yun yung pinaka-shocking sa akin dito. He was very young when he passed away, and an unfortunate victim of gun violence in the US, and medyo shocking lang din talaga.
Yeah, if there's anything else I just want to say, don't go looking for the photos and don't share them because they're really graphic and really disturbing. So, yun. Just really sad. Rest in peace to Takeoff. And I hope na sina Quavo and Offset find some form of peace, some form of solace throughout this really tough time. All right, we're going to continue with some of our news from outside the ring in a bit.
Glendale, I just want to correct Glendale there. He's not part of Ric Flair drip. Almost forgot that myself. That's just Offset and 21 Savage and the rest. Wala siya dun, although I'm sure he would have loved to be part of that as well.
Yeah, I mean, Ric Flair himself was in the music video, diba? So, yeah. Sige, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about the Shinsuke Nakamura announcement, yung kanyang match against the Great Muta, as well as the Johnny Gargano reveal on Raw and your crown jewel predictions. All of that happening in a bit. But first, a quick word from our other podcasts on Podcast Network Asia. Let's get to some shout-outs over on Kumu.
Saying hey to Tunichi, who added me on Instagram.
Finalo din ako ni Tunichi.
So now we don't have to say his name at least, right?
Yeah, Tony, what's up, man? He also sent us a bunch of halo, and thank you for that, man. Abby also sent us a welcome sticker. Good evening. Hey to everyone who was joined us on the stream on Kumu. Keep smashing those hearts. We are at 1,049 likes right now. So I think the more you smash the hearts, the more you let Kumu know that you enjoy the wrestling talk on the platform. So yun.
Oh, habang nandiyan pa yung Kumu, let's let them know.
We don't know anything. Just for the record, wala tayong alam.
Oh, sinasabi ko lang kasi life is short, guys. Anything can get taken away agad. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about Shinsuke Nakamura and the announcement that he will be competing for Pro Wrestling Noah on their January 1 show against the legendary Great Muta. Tama no na this is part of the Great Muta's last dance type of run?
Yeah, it's his retirement tour. So there's a lot of circumstances surrounding this. So first, Noah asked WWE a while back, as far back as when Vince McMahon was still in charge of the company. So Vince being Vince, medyo he was being hard to get about it. So they kind of dropped that. And then they tried approaching AEW, and then for some reason that didn't fly. And then when Triple H came to power, I think he heard about how Noah approached WWE, and he was the one to reach out to Noah again, asking if the opportunity was still open. So huge deal. I think Noah specifically asked for Shinsuke. Shinsuke hadn't wrestled for the company in a long time. So this is huge. And syempre, Forbidden Door levels na rin. It's especially rare when WWE does it. The last time they did it was back in NXT when they flew over Jushin Thunder Liger to face Tyler Breeze. And this is big. This is big that a main roster star. Sorry, the last time they did it was when they sent Kenta over to Noah. Sorry. Thanks, Glendale, for reminding me. So big deal because a main roster star, not NXT, not 205 Live, a guy actually on SmackDown is competing for a different company altogether. So this is huge.
Chino, naabutan mo ba si Great Muta sa WCW?
Yeah, I remember seeing Great Muta and I remember being afraid of him. So now that he's actually running out his career with Noah, it's just, first of all, it makes me feel old. Second of all, it also brings a tear to my eye because you just remember these guys at resting at their prime. There was a Sting gave a heartfelt promo with the Great Muta when he was doing his AEW run, diba? Saying how they brought the best out of each other. So Great Muta, the originator of Green Mist, everybody who was a fan of wrestling at the time was afraid of the Green Mist and the impact that the Great Muta had into the wrestling industry. He's just a first crossover stars from Japan at that time. So siya yung mga levels ni Shinsuke Nakamura ngayon. So it's actually very poignant to see a current WWE Japanese superstar wrestle a legend like Great Muta.
Rowen, ikaw, as someone who is probably too young to have really witnessed the Great Muta, is this the type of match you would go out of your way to watch?
Yes, actually, kasi I like inter-promotional matches. Just like what Rose said, it reminds me actually of Jushin Thunder Liger going to NXT to face Tyler Breeze. And it also reminds me of that time Chris Jericho flew over to New Japan to face Kenny Omega for the US title. So this is really big. Di ko rin inexpect natin lahat. We all manifested that there's going to be like a forbidden door type of thing in the Triple H era of the WWE.
Yeah, I guess the difference with the Jericho thing is that he wasn't under contract. Na nagpaalam lang siya kay Vince at the time.
Oh, really?
Because, yeah. He wasn't under contract. Ginawa lang niya out of delicadeza. So he actually talks about this on his podcast na there weren't really any plans for Jericho at the time with WWE. So ito, different talaga because Nakamura is a fully active superstar under contract and everything. So yeah, really, really huge deal here. Really huge coup as well for Noah to have been able to pull it off. Any other thoughts before we proceed to the main roster?
That's a correct
point. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just going to really quickly correct people here, and Glendale specifically, who said that Nakamura is going to be wrestling at Noah for the first time. No, he wrestled Go Shiozaki back in 2010 after they both did it first in NJPW. So the crossover just to Noah. So it's not his first time. So mas common ang crossing over doon sa Japan.
Ang ganda lang din nung mga nagsasabi dito na there's a huge possibility that this might mean Muta is inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure everybody who's a wrestling fan would love to see that as well.
Yeah, I guess when you consider yung contributions niya to WCW alone, diba? And the fact that it's technically part of WWE because of the purchase back in 2001. I guess that makes sense. All right, moving on. Let's talk about Johnny Gargano and the big reveal that The Miz and Dexter Lumis had a working relationship naman pala. Like, that's how it all began. They even referenced Dexter Lumis having been released, being a struggling artist. They had the nice little reenactments na puro si Johnny Gargano yung umaarte. What do you guys think about the way that this was all put together? Let's start with Rowen. Itong big reveal ni Johnny Gargano. Was it great?
Yeah, I mean, my favorite thing, like na-mention mo na, is the reenactments. It reminds me of Dark Side of the Ring, only with comedy. Like, parang, yun na nga, mention like, yung release ni Dexter Lumis and how he left Indy Hartwell na gumanap din si Johnny Gargano. Yung nag-stick figure si Johnny Gargano, that's hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Ikaw, Chino, do you like this type of storytelling from the main roster?
I do, because listen, last week I was complaining about how they didn't have backstory for this Dexter-Johnny relationship. But now Johnny himself actually explains it to us in such an untraditional fashion that parang, yes, factual siya, but then at the same time it's just hella funny and very, very entertaining. So good job to the main roster people, the writers in that side of the world. Kasi ang galing lang, never in a million years would I ever think that papasok tong kind of humor in 2022, but good job for them.
Yeah, let's stick with the point on the humor for a quick bit, and let's go to Ro here because Johnny Gargano for so many years was the type of character na you wouldn't really associate with the comedy, lalo na yung underdog act niya in NXT. So it wasn't until the way happened that he really got to flex his comedic chops, and immediately we're actually getting to do that right away on the main roster.
Yeah, syempre, a guy like Johnny knows that even though you're a good wrestler and people like you for being a good wrestler and that's what they remember you for, you can't get as far as possible in the business without showing a lot more personality. And the best way to do that is to be funny. So you see a bunch of super serious guys, dipping their toes in comedy, from guys like Kurt Angle to Minoru Suzuki even, diba? So they're not above, putting themselves in that spot. So
Si Albert na, di ba, cross-dress?
basta hindi palaging super serious business. So it's good that Johnny was able to find that. He's a natural at it. He's really good. Also, we got to give props to Triple H's TV writers in WWE Creative. So if you're the kind of fan who doesn't like the fact at first na merong mga Hollywood writers writing for a wrestling company like WWE, I think we now know that the only reason why that didn't fly before is because Vince, had to shoot them down a lot. If you listen to Freddie Prinze Jr.'s podcast, he talks about having a lot of good ideas na to shoot down lang talaga. And it goes to show that drawing influences and insights from those fields can go a long way in making a watchable pro wrestling product. So other companies should take note of this, I think.
Yeah, we've said naman for a long, long time that wrestling and pop culture always go hand in hand. So it's a nice way to channel yung curiosity natin, di ba? Na parang, ano nga ba talagang nangyari between these characters? In this case, the fact that they gave the voyeuristic element, diba, of Johnny having recorded that conversation with The Miz and Dexter Lumis. I thought that was chef's kiss right there. Because it really fed into yung pagkachismoso natin.
No, I was just going to say that it's not pop culture, but rather they're actually now following the basics of creative writing, of drama, of fiction, diba? So may ganun na. Whereas before, merong ganun, but, it was also subject to the mercy of Vince's ever-changing mind.
Mas conducive na yung place for ideas to flow freely because the man in charge is actually more open to working to a collaborative effort with his people, diba? Kita na natin, Shinsuke Nakamura gets to wrestle in Noah, diba? And if that was Vince still in charge, unfortunately, di naman natin ini-expect na mangyayari yan. So, this time around, I can honestly be grateful for the fact na hindi si Vince McMahon yung naiwan in charge. Na kahit nawalan siya ng trabaho, may magagandang things pa rin na nangyari.
All right, let's cross over to AEW real quick before we dip our toes into our crown jewel predictions, and let's talk about Katsuyori Shibata making his return to AEW and challenging Orange Cassidy for the All-Atlantic Championship. Ro, I saw on your Twitter this afternoon na you were pretty upset that people were commenting sa TikTok natin that they didn't know who Shibata was and that they were being dismissive about it.
Hindi naman sa upset. It's more like I expected it already. Because a lot of the people on our TikTok, we have over 10,000 followers now. It's a given that most of them will be tuned into WWE. Because for the longest time, WWE has been synonymous with pro wrestling, with mainstream pro wrestling. Yes, I'm annoyed by the fact that a lot of these WWE stands are dismissive of AEW just because it's the other brand, as though you're not allowed to enjoy the other brand. But it's fine. Mas amazed ako actually that this is Shibata's second real match back. The first actual match back was a 5-minute exhibition, diba? So that wasn't much. And then he did the match versus Ren Narita, I believe, a while back. And then now his second real match is in AEW, as one would have thought that NJPW would have used him to, add a little more star power to their cards, but apparently not. AEW is where it's at. And this is big because it's Orange Cassidy. We've already talked about this in, the past few weeks, that Orange Cassidy is on another level right now. This is going to be a lot of fun. Masaya ako to watch Shibata again. If people would tune in, then they're going to be in for a treat, I think, especially with Orange Cassidy staring opposite him in the ring.
Rowen, when you talk about AEW, yung target market has always been the hardcore fan, diba? People like us, people like you who are watching this podcast on Thursday at 7 p.m. So by bringing in someone like Shibata, who hardcore fans more often than not recognize immediately, isn't that something that's on brand for a company like AEW?
I want to admit that I don't want to be pretentious. I have no clue who Shibata is, but all I know about him is that he's a guy who retired years ago, and then he had his in-ring return just this year. I'm actually surprised na he's gonna have the title match this week, like sa Rampage.
Yeah. I guess susulitin na nila, diba? I don't think he's sticking around in whatever area they're in for very long. Because isn't he based in LA?
Yeah. He's still training the LA dojo, so that's why he's here. But NJPW has had a bunch of America shows, so yun nga, nagtataka ako bakit hindi nila ginamit siya before on those shows when they could have used him. But maybe my theory now is that maybe the Orange Cassidy match is going to be lighter on his body than your typical strong style puro rest match na hard hitting.
Ikaw, Chino, what are your expectations for this one?
First of all, I want to see Shibata back to his old hard-hitting self. Some of the hardest hits I've ever seen in the New Japan come from him. Medyo nabigla ako nung una. Didn't really expect it to come from somebody that skinny. Pero, yeah, ang galing eh. It's just so, and I was just taken aback with the very first matches niya. And I hope that this time around, he's actually healthier to deliver out more punishment. Now, in terms of Orange Cassidy, tama nga si Ro, he is on another level right now. He has shown that he's not just a gimmick anymore, that he can actually wrestle against top talent and put out good matches. So sana ganun din yung mangyayari with somebody like Shibata, who is, I feel like a contrasting style to Orange Cassidy. So I'm expecting fireworks and I'm expecting a good match.
Yeah, it's gonna be on Rampage, which is live. Just to answer yung question ni Aries in the comments. Live yung Rampage this week. And yes, tama si Admin Angelo na SmackDown yung tape or si Facebook user. I have no idea who that is.
That Roman J? Sino ba yan?
Hindi si Roman J. Iba eh.
Okay. Alan, is that you?
I have no idea. Basta SmackDown yung tape, guys. Kasi yung nga, the roster's traveling to Saudi, diba? So if you want to know what happens on SmackDown, you can just Google the spoilers at your own risk. Right, sticking with AEW, someone else made their return, and that's Colt Cabana. He's back now that CM Punk is nowhere near the locker room. It's good to see Colt back. Kind of sad na hindi na siya Dark Order, but I guess so much time has passed since he last appeared with the Dark Order that I guess it made sense to bring him back to the Boom Boom character. And si Colt yung nag-challenge kay Chris Jericho for the ROH World Championship. So what did you make of this Colt Cabana appearance, Chino?
Very random, pero makes sense pa rin. Kind of forgot that he was in the ROH. Was he an ROH champion? Tama ba ako?
No.
Not world champion.
Not world champion,
yeah.
But he was an ROH champion. Right. Yeah, I guess ayoko lang is he's not Dark Order anymore. I don't know what warranted that reboot since hindi naman, it also makes sense for them to just keep him in the Dark Order because so much time has passed instead of trying to recreate his new persona, so to speak. Ito nga yung original gimmick niya, but he's been part of the Dark Order for so long, and it's kind of been forgotten to a certain extent. But anyway, with regards to Colt coming back, syempre, you want to see your wrestlers work. So, congrats to Colt for being back, especially in an environment, that isn't as toxic because what happens to CM Punk.
Igoro, what do you think about Colt being back?
I thought it was fun. Deserve naman niya. So I did miss watching Colt Cabana. No matter what they say about it, I do have a strong feeling that CM Punk really was or had something to do with him not being booked on AEW TV anymore. So it's also no coincidence that he gets to come back, especially now that Punk is gone, and especially in a Chris Jericho segment, because after it was revealed reportedly that Chris Jericho called Punk a cancer to the locker room to his face. So that's all pretty funny to me. And syempre, vindicated si Colt Cabana, as Dashboard Confessional likes to say. I'm glad that he gets to wrestle again. I'm glad he got to stay in the company after he was there first and he still has a job. I'm glad that he has his moment right now in the really blurry ROH AEW line distinction. So it's all pretty fun. I hope that this means that he gets to appear more on TV. Doesn't matter if it's dark or the TV shows itself. I don't care. I just want to see more Colt.
Rowen, sagutin natin yung tanong ni Admin Angelo. Since Jericho is out to target former ROH champions, I guess at this point, regardless if it was a singles title or a tag title, which former champion do you want to face Jericho?
Let's see. in any title, no, like tag team.
Yeah. He said, and basta champion ka ng ROH.
I guess kung pwede lang ibalik who's that previous guy that Cesaro beat?
Jonathan Gresham?
Yeah, Jonathan Gresham. I think they would have a banger of a match like sila ni Jericho.
May sama ng loob din siya sa AEW.
Yeah.
That is the problem. Pero parang I'm impressed with his work. Like I saw some of his work until umalis siya. But I would really love to see him back. Pero sana magkaayos na sila ng AEW.
Mm-hmm. Itong si Fred sa comment section, sana yung realistic naman. Nigel McGuinness is retired, dude. Come on.
No. There is something to what Fred said. Kasi Nigel has mentioned, or someone has pointed out, that Nigel didn't really retire. He just stopped. And one of the possible reasons why he left or was fired from WWE is that he may want to attempt a comeback. So there might be something there to Fred's suggestion.
Interesting. All right. A lot of people also pointing out yung mga former champions na nasa WWE na ngayon, and I'm pretty sure diba, na that's highly unlikely given where things stand between these companies.
Emil,
kayo, Rowan Chino. Sorry, Rowan?
El Generico's dead, Emil.
Okay. I'm gonna throw a name out there. I don't know where he is, but I'd love to see Austin Aries back.
Oh God. There's a reason why you don't know where he is right now.
Just a name for real possible pick. Probably Samoa Joe. Diba nandun din siya?
Oh
yeah.
What's he doing? What's he doing now? He's TV champion, right?
He's the TV champ. Yeah.
Okay. So Samoa Joe might play for a good match against Jericho. Nagdaman sila dati. I would want to see that.
Okay, ikaw, Ro.
Sino ba? Kevin Owens would be fun. Low key, because I'm, deep down, despite being a terrible person, I'm still kind of a low key mark. So I think that would be a fun match.
All right. Okay, leave your fantasy booking suggestions in the comments for those wrestlers, those former ROH champions that you want to face Chris Jericho as we get to Crown Jewel predictions. All right, of course, that's available on the WWE Network on Sunday midnight Philippine Standard Time. May Tagalog commentary pa rin. And I guess just as an update for everybody who was asking during the Disney Plus announcement, Tagalog commentary will be part of the Disney Plus package. I can tell you that. So once WWE content gets migrated to Disney Plus, kasama rin kami dun. So yun, something you guys can look forward to when that deal is consummated formally. In the meantime, big picture stuff. Meron ba kayong ina-expect out of Crown Jewel? Aside from like the real world stuff that's hovering over the event?
I wonder how long it'll be before we get a Crown Jewel inside the line. Like, is that yung binibuild the city? You guys never
the line.
Yeah,
the line.
Right.
Di ba 2030 yung vision? So, not for a while.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if that, it's just something to throw out there. I wonder if that's a possibility.
I'm sure it is. Kasi, pero, no, I don't think so. Kasi you need a big stadium and the line is supposed to be super narrow. It's just, it's narrow and then it's going to be super long. So it's like one big corridor and there's no space for a stadium in the line.
Yeah, sabagay. They're supposed to have a mall there. So yeah.
Kayo, big picture predictions. Rowan, or big picture expectations from the PLE?
I think Bo Dallas will come back since they announced that Bray Wyatt will make an appearance. So baka mamaya doon na rin lumabas si Uncle Howdy. Baka it turns out to be a Bo Dallas repackage.
That's not a big picture prediction.
Oh wait, what are we talking about? I thought
big picture predictions.
Oh, I guess I have.
Napagalitan ka. Nakabalik lang ng tao. Napagalitan.
No.
Okay, Ro, bigyan mo na example ng big picture.
Kasi wala ako eh. There's not much kasi, it's a lot of people are actually not as hyped for it because I think like Chino, they're not really all in for the Logan Paul versus Roman Reigns match. So that's a big draw, diba? That's a big draw of the show. And a lot of people are writing it off just because it's Logan Paul. But syempre, for the rest of us, Logan Paul can actually wrestle. So that could be fun. But for the actual show itself, it doesn't really seem too special to me. Like, I don't know. They did their job in telling the stories, pero nothing here kind of wows me right now. I don't know why. I can't tell you why because they've been working hard in telling these okay stories. It's just that uh, maybe I'm tired of all of these storylines that I kind of want to move on to something different.
All right. Let's start off with the Women's Tag Team Championship. Ito, sobrang sudden change in the story. Now, Alexa and Asuka are the tag team champions. Rowan, did you expect them to win the titles as soon as they returned, which we didn't even expect heading into this week's Raw?
I think they should have won it in a pay-per-view. But now that there's a rematch for the Women's Tag Team Championship, feeling ko babalik sa Damage Control yung belts.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Ikaw, Chino.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling here. I feel like they're gonna play hot potato with these tag titles, and I don't know if that's a good idea for the division. Since magiging Sasha Charlotte scenario na naman to from all the way back in, was that 2012? I can't remember.
2016 naman.
2016,
Wala pa sila sa main roster nun.
Sige, 2016. Fine. But yeah, ayoko kasi nung ginagamit nilang plot device tong championship between four people when they can do stories so much better than that nowadays, diba? But that being said, I feel like Damage Control walk away with the titles here.
Rose, sabi ni Chino he doesn't like the hot potatoing of the tag titles, but you said in your Patreon review na ideally tag team championship reigns should be short.
Yeah, to be fair to Chino's point, he said that, the titles have been focused on four people. That's actually not true because they have been defending it on SmackDown against Raquel and Shotzi. So there's that. Ini-include naman nila, but you're right in as far as the main movement is on the teams on Raw. I think that tag title reigns should be short, but not that short. Nah, you win it on Monday and lose it on Saturday, diba? Not like that. It's because of that I hope that they don't lose it because they already won it. So stick with it, commit to it, run with the ball, and deal with this. Move on after you successfully defend the championship. Tapos iba naman. Let's have Damage Control move on. Hopefully, flesh themselves out as a faction, as individual wrestlers. That's all I wanted from this. That's kind of why I'm tired of it because they've been fighting endlessly with no real reason. So, despite how the writers on Raw have been writing okay storylines for other people, they've also been not doing as well for other people then. So, sana they get to share the wealth in that regard.
Okay, so split decision tayo on this one. Ro predicts Asuka and Alexa. Rowan and Chino predict Damage Control to win back the tag team championships. Right, moving on to yung match ni Uncle Carl, the six-man tag between the OC and Judgment Day. Chino, let's start with you. Who do you think's walking away with the W?
I think Judgment Day walk away with the W. Rhea Ripley might play a factor in this match, so that might tilt the victory their way. I also feel like I don't know what the contract status is of the Good Brothers, but I also feel that this might be one of the last times we see them together. For some
wow.
reason. Parang binalik sila to have somebody to go up against the Judgment Day.
I agree with that, yeah.
Right? So parang this might just be like the end of the line for them after this.
Okay. Rowan, do you think magkaka-rest back yung OC dito? Kasi technically, dehado pa rin sila because the Judgment Day has Rhea Ripley.
I think JD or Judgment Day should win kasi they need to get more wins. Kasi they've been kolelat for the past few months. Although nanalo si Finn against Edge last Extreme Rules.
Yeah, but do you expect the OC to have rest back?
Actually, there could be a fourth person, like some diva.
It has to be a woman kasi
women. I said diva tuloy. Probably, actually, a lot of people are speculating baka si Raquel Rodriguez, who could be the fourth person in OC.
Mm-hmm. Ikaw, Ro, sabi ni Chino na he expects yung the OC to be done after this. We haven't really seen much of that in WWE.
I don't think the OC are going to be done, but I do agree with Chino na parang binalik sila for this feud just so that AJ isn't facing the Judgment Day 1-on-3, 1-on-4, diba? Same way Edge did. I I do believe that the OC is able to lose. They can eat a loss without really making it look bad for them. So I also predict a Judgment Day win because they need it bad. I'm kind of in with the Judgment Day at this point. Before I wasn't so much because I thought they were so weird. But now I just see them as the 2022 Bullet Club. So I'm all in with that. And, it's a vehicle for Rhea Ripley to get even more over. So let's have him dominate the Raw roster. So let's just go for that.
All right. Next up, we're going to talk about the steel cage match between Drew McIntyre and Karrion Kross. So this is an extension of the feud which led them to the strap match. Scarlett got involved. She pepper sprayed Drew, which led to Karrion Kross picking up the win nung Extreme Rules. Rowen, what do you think about this match?
All right, so I'm not really impressed with Karrion Kross's victory from Extreme Rules. I think he needs this win, pero based from the wrestling logic, it's gonna be Drew McIntyre is gonna win kasi parang it's gonna be parang best of 3. Like that's the way I see it. So it's gonna be Drew for me.
Okay. Kung ganon, di Chino dapat may rubber match pa after the steel cage match. But they said na they have to settle everything inside the steel cage. So what do you think?
I think Karrion Kross wins. I do not think they can afford to make him look weak for very long. Kasi naka-question yung credibility niya the longer this goes on. Remember, he won dubiously during the strap match. It wasn't even a decisive win. Scarlett had to get involved. So if they are really serious about this Karrion Kross project, they need to make him win decisively in a cage match. And I feel like Drew can eat a loss and still be okay in the long run.
Let's piggyback off that point, Ro, and answer Glendale's question at the same time. Does Drew have anything to gain or lose here?
He doesn't have anything to gain kasi na-establish naman siya as a uncrowned champion, I think, nung Clash at the Castle. So he can eat a loss, doesn't make him look bad. On that note, I'm so over. I'm kind of out of this feud. I'm not over Karrion Kross yet, but I'm out of this feud because of how they booked that strap match finish. So they have one more chance to win me back over by having this be as brutal as possible. Karrion Kross kasi has a specific niche audience, specific subsection of the audience na those who like big men who are brutal. But he hasn't really reached that level for me yet. So this is the time. Kill each other, kick each other's ass. Do that here. And I know Kross is going to win. That's my prediction. So it's just a matter now of how they're going to get there.
Yeah, I think I get what you're trying to say. Na parang si Karrion Kross yung tipong wrestler you would book for an event like GCW Bloodsport.
Yeah. Something like that.
All right. One more match before we go to break. Let's talk about the Usos and the Brawling Brutes for the Undisputed Tag Team Championship. Ito medyo sudden din, but they've kind of been building up to it. And we have been alluding to it on the podcast. Now, it seems to be one of those building blocks on the way to Sheamus versus Roman Reigns. So, ikaw, Rowan, do you think na the Usos are gonna end their reign here? Hindi sila aabot dun sa record ng New Day?
Yeah, I feel like the Usos are gonna lose the titles this time.
Talaga? Okay.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm thinking kasi Sami Zayn is not gonna be at Crown Jewel because feeling ko he could have helped if he's allowed to go there. So feeling ko the Brawling Brutes will bring home the titles.
That's not a very Uzi prediction, Rowan. Ikaw, Chino.
Yeah, I'm going to say the Usos retain here. Parang, yes, it might be a building block to Sheamus versus the Tribal Chief, pero giving the Brawling that's a mouthful. The Brawling Brutes, there we go, the titles right away might be jumping the gun too early. They need to let the story simmer for a little bit. So I feel like the Usos and versus the Brawling Brutes might actually be a good start for that.
Okay. Ro, break the tie.
Usos it's not the time. It's just not the time. If they couldn't beat Imperium, if Imperium couldn't win against them, I don't think the Brawling Brutes are going to be either. But that would be a hell of a rub, though. I wouldn't be against it if it did happen, but I don't think it's going to happen. So it will be foundation, or another step towards Sheamus versus Roman, which is a super fresh matchup if I've ever seen one. So it's still 3-on-2 when you think about it. So that's going to be why the Usos retain.
Yeah, tama si Rodon, because Bruce, Solo Sikoa is probably going to be there just, for the numbers, para kahit papano as much of the bloodline is there, despite Sammy Uso not being present at Crown Jewel. All right, let's take another break. When we come back, we'll go through the latter half of Crown Jewel. But first, another word from our other podcasts on Podcast Network Asia. This is the audio-only part of the podcast featuring the topics that we didn't have time to cover nung live stream. Let's start with R-Truth making another appearance on NXT. This was supposed to be his match against Grayson Waller, and then right as they went to commercial break, R-Truth took a nasty spill outside the ring, and he had to get some help on his way back to the locker room. I'm not sure if it's a knee injury or a calf injury. Yung calf niya talagang namagay, the left calf after that bad landing. So do you have any details, Ro, kung ano yung extent ng injury ni R-Truth?
Wait, let me check real quick for an update. Pero from the spot that I saw, from the video that I saw, he landed on his ankle and leg. So I don't think it was a knee thing. Might have been a torn calf or something, or sana hindi ligament. Pero wala pang update on how bad it is and what exactly was injured. Again, we were talking about, accidents, unfortunate incidents in the ring back in our audio only for this week. Diba? So this is just another one of them. We know that R-Truth is agile enough to clear a tope like that from before. Wala, he sumabit siya. I saw the spot. Sumabit siya, and that's why he undershot the jump. And Waller was in position, but not the right position to catch him. So that's why he landed badly. And again, like many injuries that we have seen throughout this year and recently, it's just another one of those bad accidents. And such is, again, the nature of our sport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really bad break lang.
Yeah. I gotta thank Bro kasi he corrected me. Like, I actually tweeted, and it's my mistake. I said the wrong details. Like, I thought Grayson Waller made the mistake. Like, I thought masyado siyang malayo, but it was actually R-Truth. Like, he stacked, like, sumabit siya sa rope. Yeah.
These things happen at all levels talaga of the sport. So, all the best to R-Truth. I hope he's able to heal up and that we see him back in the ring sooner than later. All right, speaking of NXT, we received news, or, we read and heard the news yesterday that 5 NXT talents were released this past week. Yung pinakakilalang pangalan is Bodhi Hayward, who has been prominently seen with Chase U, diba? So the other 4 names that were released were Sloane Jacobs, Erica Yan, Damaris Griffin, and Rufeng. So we always say every time someone gets released na, we hope they're able to bounce back. And again, it's pretty unfortunate, pero I guess them's the breaks.
So a lot of these names are on the level up circuit. So syempre, there's still developmental. And it was reported a while back that Triple H or the new regime, whoever it is, gives everyone in NXT like a window to improve themselves. So if you don't show improvement within that window, you get cut. So I think that's what happened here. But at the same time, parang hindi naman masama, but then again, we don't see the progression or lack thereof that they may have in the performance center. So it's not all bad because, they're still at the very early stages of their career. So they can still go around and gain experience. Like for sure, a lot of these guys and girls will be booked on the AEW Dark circuit. I know Sloane Jacobs has appeared on AEW Dark from before. So, ano lang yan? It's just, get as much experience as you could. It's not the end of the world. You don't have to stay in the performance center on NXT for a long time to get far in your career. There's always an opportunity to come back and after you have leveled yourself up, pun not intended.
Kita mo, Rowen, sila 6-month intervals lang yung evaluation. Buti ka pa, naka 1-year tryout ka na rito.
That's
anyway, I just want to say na I'm actually surprised na Bodhi Hayward was released kasi
yeah, me too.
Kasi like he has a storyline, diba? Like parang nagbe-build up na parang naiinggit siya kay Duke Hudson, right?
Yep.
I'm actually surprised that he was released even if he's part of a storyline.
Yeah.
Hopefully, baka ma-incorporate within the storyline.
Well, it's kind of incorporated already because this week on NXT, they kind of referenced it in a cheeky way when Thea Hale was looking sad and sabi ni Andre Chase parang looks like something's missing, and then the camera panned to the left and then there was nobody there.
Nag-drop ng class.
Yeah. Normally NXT wouldn't do that or WWE wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Now they just do. And then I don't know if it's actually better or if it's sadder that way. I can't
It's more
tell.
emotional kasi like I'm invested in Chase U now.
Yeah, pero ginamit nila yung real life firing into a storyline. Like, I don't know if it's unjust or not the way he got released, pero they kind of made it utilitarian by using it in a storyline. And I don't know if that's insensitive or what. Because a guy didn't lose his job, you know. He is trying to make it as a wrestler, and I don't know if you should be using that. I said, I'd be okay with it if the emotion they felt was genuine. Maybe that's how I'd be okay with that.
All right. Any other thoughts, Rowan, or do you want to move on to the next topic?
We can move on to Slapnuts.
Okay, sige, let's talk about Jeff Jarrett. So he's now part of AEW. Earlier this year, he had left WWE, left his position of being senior vice president for live events, and after he debuted on Dynamite, he went after Darby Allin and declared war on the AEW locker room. So, ikaw, Rowan, may thoughts ka ba on this debut?
Yeah, I thought Jeff Jarrett was still with WWE, pero actually he left nung August pa pala.
Yep.
I'm really surprised there. So Jeff Jarrett returning or debuting on AEW and declaring war on the AEW locker room. Tony Khan has to think twice because magulo na nga yung locker room nila eh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe he's gonna be, the another adult in the room, diba?
Yeah.
So, veteran presence and all that. I guess it's up to the kids now if they want to listen to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of confused na parang, okay, Jeff Jarrett being an active personality kasi we never really got that from him in WWE, diba? The most we got was that special guest ref spot nung SummerSlam. I don't know if this is a hot take or what, but like having Jeff Jarrett as an active personality isn't really doing anything for me.
Yeah, it's not for you kasi hindi ka naman lumaki sa heyday niya in the late 90s, in the mid to late 90s, and you don't watch TNA anyway. I've seen the reactions and people are loving this. They love that Jeff Jarrett, a recognizable name, a big name from wrestling history, is there to beef up the star power of AEW. So it's a net positive for them. The only thing naman is that Jeff Jarrett doesn't do anything shady, which he had done before, clearly. As long as he doesn't have the power to book himself, he should be fine. So yeah, it's not for you. It's clearly not for you.
Yeah. I mean, like, a lot of the people in that segment aren't really my cup of tea din naman, but, we've already talked about that on this podcast many, many times. All right, rounding up the audio-only part, Emma has made her return to WWE as part of the SmackDown roster. She was the one who answered Ronda Rousey's open challenge for the SmackDown Women's Championship. What do you think about this one, Rowan?
This was a great reintroduction to Emma. Tagal na natin hindi siya nakita. And was she the first wrestler to be released and then reinstated twice?
Hindi, marami na rin naka second return to WWE, like if you go to their Wikipedia.
All right, so but yeah, I'm really happy for Emma. At saka, like, she really had a great performance, a great effort against Ronda Rousey. Usually, pagka back in Vince's day, siguro squash match lang yun. But nakita talaga natin who Emma is.
Mm-hmm. Ikaw, Ro.
I'm happy for Emma because Emma's really good. She is the forgotten pillar of the women's evolution. Because people mostly remember Paige, right? And then the Four Horsewomen, diba? But she didn't get a fair shake, and she still did not get a fair shake because when she returned on SmackDown last Friday, people did not know who she was.
So is it WWE's fault?
No, it's not WWE's fault. I mean, what do you mean?
Kasi sabi mo, she didn't get a fair shake. So is it still the WWE's fault that the people didn't recognize her?
No. I don't think it was WWE's fault. Because they did do a good job before trying to push Emma. But, syempre, it wasn't the best booking ever. So that's why she didn't really stick. But she got such a lukewarm reaction. It was so sad. Because these people have been watching WWE and you can't not remember Emma. Parang, how can this woman get the Charlie Haas treatment from this crowd? Because she wasn't anyone, she wasn't just about anyone, I think. Even with the weird dancing gimmick, that should have been enough for people to remember her. Yung weird dancing thing.
And the one, the time she aligned herself with Santino.
Yeah, that one I don't remember much. But the weird dancing thing alone was, should have been enough for them to remember her by. I guess it also goes to show you that going to Impact doesn't really give you a major boost in your career. As much as Bobby Fish would like to hope so, hindi talaga eh. So being a big name on Impact doesn't make you immediately a more recognizable name. So sayang lang. I just kind of felt sad that Michael Cole had formally reintroduced Emma and all her accomplishments on commentary, which is fair. You have to do that, pero to me, you shouldn't have had to do that for Emma. Like, I don't know, am I being crazy here?
I kind of think na medyo unreasonable yung argument. Because, like, if I were calling the show, I would have probably done the same thing Michael Cole would have done regardless of the response.
Yeah. Gets ko naman yun. It's just like, it's more of the principle na, okay, you shouldn't have to reintroduce Emma. Like, you should, yes, but you also shouldn't have to.
I think the blame falls on the fans more. Parang, ba't di nyo kilala si Emma? Kasi if naiintindihan kita ng tama, Ro, it seems like WWE did everything that they could to reintroduce Emma properly. It's just that the fans in that arena, for whatever reason, couldn't remember. So in that case, I don't think it's WWE's fault.
Yeah. It's not WWE's fault. I don't blame them at all. I blame the fans this time. Because when Triple H does these big returns, big surprises, they're usually done with the assumption na kilala mo eh. I would argue that Emma was a big return and they just did not give her that, yes, hot pop energy. So I'm so disappointed by the fans in that show.
Yeah, I think it was in Indiana. Eto, what if Emma had returned under her old NXT gimmick with the bubbles and that wacky music and the weird dance thing?
Wala,
Would it have mattered?
I don't think so. Kasi, sorry, Rowan.
Parang hindi na siya yun eh. Like, she has a new identity and yung parang maangas na biker girl.
Yeah. The Tenille Dashwood gimmick.
Yeah, parang mas nakilala siya outside the WWE with that gimmick.
No, hindi nga siya nakilala.
Oh, sorry. No. I mean,
if she was known outside the WWE, she should have gotten a big reaction when she came back.
No. I just think that the bubble thing gimmick, yung dancing gimmick, it's not gonna work since mas gumagana yung current gimmick niya.
No, what Stan was asking is if they did use the NXT gimmick, would people have recognized her more? Not whether it would have worked. And I don't know. I don't think so. Because it's still Emma. Like, they didn't change her name. They didn't really change her look all that much. She doesn't look like a completely different person. So if you don't know Emma, then you don't know Emma, no matter what gimmick she's doing.
Yeah. Sayang lang. I'm with you guys here na Emma is a big return. And I wish it were a bigger deal than it appeared to be just because of the tepid crowd reaction. In which case, yun nga, parang nasa fans na yun eh. Alam mo yun, nasa live fans na yun eh. I don't really go through wrestling Twitter all that much anymore. So what was the response from the internet?
I think they did know. Kasi the internet knows a lot more. So people were hyped for Emma, for sure. So usually kasi pag ganyan, it's the live audience who doesn't catch up because usually they're composed of casuals, a lot of casuals. So that also explains it, I think.
Yeah. Probably would have been better to go to if it were a smarkier city like New York or Chicago or Philly, diba? All right, so there. That wraps up the audio-only portion of this week's podcast. Thank you so much for catching everything we do, and we'll see you again next week. May shoutouts pa ba on Kumu?
Nothing new, no new comments, but just want to say thank you to everyone who tuned in. So thank you again. We're now at 3,217 likes, so that's pretty cool. Keep smashing those hearts, guys. Tuloy-tuloy lang, and let everyone know that you like wrestling talk on Plumo.
All right. Stick around for the audio-only version of the podcast, which goes up tomorrow because we're going to talk about some additional topics that we don't necessarily have time for on the live stream. So we'll talk about R-Truth's injury, really unfortunate stuff, the NXT talents that got released, Jeff Jarrett's AEW debut, and the return of Emma to WWE. All of that will be part of the audio-only episode, which you'll catch tomorrow on your favorite podcatchers. All right, continuing on with the Crown Jewel predictions. Bray Wyatt has been booked for the show. He was announced as he'll be making his presence felt, and we've already seen the latest vignette featuring Uncle Howdy. So how do you think this will shake out in Saudi Arabia?
Di ko alam. Like, I got no clue. Like, it's kind of weird to me that they promoted the spot of Bray Wyatt.
I mean, it's Bray Wyatt. He's really hot right now, so I guess it makes sense.
I guess, pero on Crown Jewel, like on a pay-per-view, I don't know. It's probably not going to be a lot different from what we've seen over the past few weeks. He's going to come out and then Uncle Howdy's going to talk. He's going to interrupt him. So I just hope that they drive the story forward. They brought up a good point on the Masked Man show now. a lot of this right now involving Bray Wyatt is just going to be building and telling the story. So he's not going to wrestle. So I guess I wanted to ask you guys if that's okay with you. Are you guys okay with that? Nah, he doesn't look like he's going to wrestle anyone anytime soon. And this Wyatt 6 story is going to unfold over the next few months.
Puro world building, no?
Yeah, I don't know how long it'll take before this thing becomes sort of pedantic. Yung paulit-ulit na lang siya. I know it's still early to say that, but I'm feeling like because we're just being teased week after week by who this Uncle Howdy is with these vignettes and him interrupting Bray Wyatt, Bray just pouring his heart out. While entertaining, may hangganan din siya. So I would much rather see a reveal than anything else because I'm very impatient that way. But
I agree.
Diba? Kasi parang may hangganan din siya, diba? Parang how much more, how many more promos can he do before people are like, oh, we don't care anymore, right? You know what I mean? Like, may limit yung ganyang type of storytelling. That being said, I don't know what he's going to do in Crown Jewel, and I honestly don't know if this is the crowd for that because maraming casuals dyan sa crowd na yan. That's what they were banking on. That is why for the past few Crown Jewels, they bring back people like Goldberg to wrestle these shows, and now we have Brock on the same card. So parang I don't know if having a Bray Wyatt moment is the right move for his story moving forward.
Rowen, kanina you said na you wanted Bo Dallas to be Uncle Howdy or to be part of the big reveal. But are you okay with the fleshing out and the world building that's going on right now?
You mean like what do you mean? Can you please elaborate?
No, yung world building na ginagawa nila na promo after promo after promo instead of, okay, may kalaban si Bray Wyatt, laban na agad.
Actually, nababaduyan ako. Like, parang natatagalan ako. Just like what Chino said. I'm pretty impatient about this and like, puro segment na lang si Bray on SmackDown, so I'd love to see a reveal then for Crown Jewel.
Mm-hmm. All right. Obviously it's a mystery. We'll find out what happens come Crown Jewel on Sunday. Next up, Battle of the Monsters. It's Braun Strowman versus Omos. Okay, we're going to expect two really huge guys just going at it, probably destroying a part of ringside. So who do you think is going to come up with a win here, Chino?
I am going to go with Braun because wrestling logic. Diba when was that, last week or this week, where Omos knocked him out of the ring? So parang, I'm gonna say just because of that. Otherwise, I mean, ang mangyayari lang dito kasi is mag-lock up sila dalawang beses, tapos pick up may bubuhat na dun sa isa, and then that'll be the match, right? That'll be the
alam mo, may Canadian Destroyer.
if that happens, Rowen, mark it on the pod. November 3. Pag may nag-Canadian Destroyer dito sa dalawang to, pabayaan kita ng 1,000. 1,000 pesos to your Gcash. If there is a Canadian
that's gonna be
rich.
Let's put that bet in.
And Omos. Oh my God, you are going. Kaya pag wala, Rowen, pag wala.
Pag wala. What are you willing to bet? What are you willing to put on the line, young blood?
Oh, what are you willing to do?
Kakanta ka ng twice na kanta?
On the pod. On the pod. Okay, sige.
Sasayaw ka ng talk that talk? Ayun na, witness tayong lahat na pagtama si Chino, sasayaw si Rowen ng talk that talk. Pagtama si Rowen.
You don't have to do on the pod. Just record it for TikTok.
For TikTok. Sige.
For TikTok.
On TikTok. Yeah.
I-repost natin sa TikTok natin.
Yes.
I-milk natin yung pagiging once ni Rowen ASH.
Right. Ikaw rin once ka na rin eh.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Well, yes, I am a once na rin. A very casual once.
Me too, but we're not the ones who made the bet.
Yeah. Tahimik lang kami ni Ru dito.
Yeah, I mean, oh my God. First of all, how are they going to pull that off without one of them landing on their head?
Yeah. All right, Chino, for the record, sino prediction mo ulit?
I say Braun Strowman just because,
Okay, Ro.
First of all, this should have been on WrestleMania. Like, I don't, yeah, I get why they did it for the Saudi crowd, but this is huge. They kind of rushed it because Omos wasn't doing much. Then suddenly he's back on the show. Then, now there's a match. So I hope that this would be on WrestleMania instead. Braun for me, because they're really high on Braun right now. So poor Omos still isn't developing as well as they want him to. So might as well, I don't know. But, things could happen. We could be wrong. Omos could steal a win. He does have MVP on his side. But Braun is mas may momentum siya. So I don't see how he loses here.
Mm-hmm. Ikaw, Rowen.
All right, first off, binabawi ko na yung sabi ko, there's no Canadian destroyers gonna happen.
Wow. Atras bayag agad eh.
I don't want to humiliate myself.
First of all, you guys have to consider the sheer size of both these men to know that is physically impossible.
Tino mo, nagalit si Bruce, so corny daw.
That is physically impossible.
You let down your Dubber Cats.
Oh,
they were rooting for you.
Well, Dubber Cats get used to disappointment.
Yeah.
Wow.
at least honest siya. Di tulad ng presidente nyo.
Oh.
The last time I heard that line, I was so disgusted. Now I'm just laughing because it's so sad.
Anyways, I'll go for Omos.
It's good to have you back, Rowen. It's good to have you back.
Welcome back, Rowen ASH.
The sound you just heard was, all of Rowen's Dubber Cats out there realizing who they're standing.
Their hero.
Realizing their bias is letting them down.
I mean, Superman wears glasses.
Sana ganyan din yung 31 million eh.
Next up, another, I would say like a WrestleMania level match then. Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. In the 3 weeks since these two have been at odds with one another, di pa rin natin alam ano yung beef nila with each other. Aside from, I guess, Brock costing Bobby the US Championship, I guess you could make a case na it's them kind of building off of the Royal Rumble match. Na wala namang nangyari after because Brock immediately went following the Rumble. So, what do you guys think of this one? Let's start with Ro.
My biggest problem is they still haven't explained why. Like, we're supposed to take this at face value. Like, okay, yes, we get it. They had an interaction earlier this year. Brock's won the championship from Bobby earlier this year. But, that doesn't explain anything by itself. So they have tried to explain, but they're teasing us. They're kind of binibitin tayo. They're interrupting us before we get the explanation. So I don't like that. I don't know why they're doing that. I don't believe that you should promote this just because it's a big match. So that's what I don't like about it. That said, it's hard to see how Brock loses this one after he's eaten so many L's over the past few months.
Yeah, when you put it that way, Brock has been steadily losing because he's been feuding with Roman Reigns. So, Rowan, ito na ba yung bounce back season ni Brock?
I actually like to see a US title match between these two. I don't care kung mid-card title yun. But oh boy, I just realized the US title is not on the line here.
Yeah, Pero, I would have wanted that as well.
Like wala si Seth, I just realized that right now. Anyways, yeah, I would like Brock to win. Kasi pang rebound din. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Emil, Brock is clearly the heel here because he cost Bobby yung title niya and Bobby still doesn't know why Brock went after him. Or we don't know at least, diba? Based on the last few weeks.
Diba?
Chino, ito, question for you. What did you think Riddle was up to nung nilabas yung kanyang tsinelas?
Whatever he was up to, I want some of that. That's all I'm going to say. We could all use a little bit of that in our lifetime. But for me, I'm going to say Brock rin just because he really needs the W. Man. He really needs people to take him seriously again.
Why, don't people take Brock seriously?
He take a lot of L's and he's sort of been put on the wayside, so to speak. So parang, hindi naman siya naging comedy character. But then at the same time, he's not a main eventer anymore because Roman Reigns has taken that spotlight all for himself. So with the win here, Brock might place himself up there. I know nakakasawa na yung ganung scenario, the Brock versus Roman, but it might actually, for a talent the caliber of Brock Lesnar, that might actually be the only way to go.
Okay. Just to bring it back to yung chinelas ni Riddle, which you can see in Rose's virtual background. Guys, alam naman natin yung power ng chinelas. Gets ko yun. Pero ang layo ni Riddle dun kina Bobby Lashley and kay Brock, paano yung sila matatamaan with the chinelas, di ba?
I like what Mickey said here. Brock isn't feeling very oozy lately.
I would love for someone to actually go up to Brock Lesnar and say, hey bro, you're not feeling very oozy right now. And just to see kung ano yung magiging reaction ni Brock Lesnar.
Sabi Zayn, pasok.
Sabay F5 ulit eh. All right, last couple of matches here. Bayley and Bianca Belair in a last woman standing match for the Raw Women's Championship. Ro, you seem very exasperated.
Yeah, kasi this is, well, it's not really I know, they have been interacting since SummerSlam. That's since July, guys. It's July, August, September, October, 5 months now. So it's been almost 5 months of this feud. And yes, we have been getting it in different permutations. Pero it has been forever since these two have been facing each other. So I hope that one, this is the last. And by virtue of it being the last, Bayley should finally win. Kasi it's there. Can we also point out how ridiculous they treated Nikki Cross? Kasi Nikki Cross...
lang siya.
Yeah, diba? Nikki Cross gets beaten by Bianca Belair relatively clean. And then she doesn't even get to explain why she interfered last week. So what's up with that, to quote the Hurricane? So, yun. Bayley's my prediction.
Yeah, parang unanimous din dito sa comment section eh. Chino?
Yeah, honestly, I'm with Ro here with regards to Nikki Cross. First of all, hindi nila in-explain kung bakit siya bumalik dun sa atin yung character. Now she's just acting crazy for no reason, which I guess was the point of her previous character. But there was no explanation for the retcon at all and for why she's in the title picture right now. But with that said, I guess they've moved on from Nikki Cross. I guess to be doing whatever she does. I want Bayley to win just because, first of all, tama din si Ro when he says this feud needs to end. And by virtue of Bayley winning and having the other two members of Damage Control walk away with the titles, we might actually see Damage Control with all the belts in the women's division.
All right. Ikaw, Rowan, are you going to complete the sweep?
Yeah. Bianca should take a rest. I think it's Bayley's time. Been a long time since she held the title, and I think mas deserve niya yung title win. Actually, I predicted she would win the ladder match last Extreme Rules.
Yeah.
Pero sayang hindi siya nanalo.
Yeah, we were all expecting din na Bayley would win, diba? But that didn't happen. And I guess they were waiting for like a big moment in Saudi over Philly. I don't know.
I don't know why it's Saudi though. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like,
yeah, wala naman atang target market dun eh.
Yeah.
I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Just to answer Janelle's question here, actually, the first major title change in Saudi was probably Goldberg defeating The Fiend for the Universal Championship. And let's not speak of that moment again.
Is it Fiend versus Seth?
No, it was The Fiend and Goldberg. Yung Universal title, diba?
I think, no, The Fiend won at Crown Jewel 2019, I believe.
Yes, that happened too. Well, it's hard to remember anything Fiendy. That's not very oozy. Move on na tayo. All right, let's talk about the main event, Roman Reigns and Logan Paul. And I don't know, I think all of us can agree naman the Tribal Chief will continue to be undisputed WWE Universal Champion. So instead, I'm going to ask you guys what you expect to see out of this match. Let's start with Rowan.
Dusty finish. I think Logan will win, pero baka there's gonna be a DQ ending. Basta, it will end up Roman retaining the title. That's the way I see it.
Okay. Ikaw, Chino.
It's weird that Rowan said that kasi by virtue of a dusty finish, hahaba lang tong feud na to. And I don't know if anybody wants that. I don't know if Logan Paul wants to wrestle as much as Roman Reigns does. Kasi parang hindi, but this might just be good for a one shot and that's it. I don't know how many people will actually be on this feud. Kasi nga, Logan Paul or the Pauls in general are such polarizing characters that it's hard to buy them as faces. If anything, lumalabas pang face si Roman Reigns dito sa scenario na to by virtue of him being liked by the smarts of the world. But that said, I mean, Logan can wrestle. I saw that on our TikTok. People saying that Logan can wrestle. So that's actually a good thing for him. Kasi itong match na to might actually bode well for storytelling and delivering that underdog moment. And then at the end of the day, we want to see the Tribal Chief walk away with both belts.
Yeah, it's interesting, Chino, that you said Roman comes off looking like a babyface next to Logan Paul. And I think the only way Logan Paul looks like a babyface today is to probably have him feud with Kanye West or Kyrie Irving. Ikaw, Ro, what are your expectations out of this match?
I'm going to expect that they're going to have a good match.
Yeah, banger.
Logan Paul, as we saw from the match versus The Miz, but he's pretty good. And he's going to go out there. He's going to give a hell of an athletic performance. And then that's going to be it. It's going to be a one shot, as Chino said. He is going to have a good match for the good reviews, and that's about it. I think that's all he cares about, really.
All right. Kayo, let us know in the comments yung predictions ninyo for Crown Jewel. That's it. Those are our predictions. Again, you can catch the show on the WWE Network midnight on Sunday, Manila time. Right? Tagalog commentary totally available. Okay, as we begin to wind down here, we're reminding everyone again that the audio-only version will feature some additional topics that we don't have time for here on the podcast. Feedback. Someone's not wearing their headphones properly. Anyway, we'll get to our picks of the week. You guys know what to do. Leave it in the comment section. Just one pick of the week per person. Let's start with the returning Rowen ASH.
The week 3 champ. Really three-way kasi nagtulo dalawang in race.
Teka lang, Rowen, time out muna. I think there's something wrong with your mic and your headphones. Kaya nagfi-feedback. And yeah, we can't really hear you. Yeah. Sige, reconnect mo muna yung audio mo. Let's go to Chino here while Rowen takes care of the tech issue.
Yeah, so my pick of the week goes out to Tales from the Territories, the new Vice series from The Rock. The Rock and his life partner and producing partner, Danny Garcia, put out...
Hindi na life partner si Danny Garcia. He has a different wife.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, so it's his ex-wife. Okay. Yeah, tama. Okay, sorry. But yeah, his former life partner and current producing partner, they put out this amazing... Sa ngayon, I think it's 4 episodes.
5 episodes.
5 episodes na. I've only seen 3 of them. So far, they're pretty good. They are roundtable discussions of different aspects of the territory. So you get to hear the thoughts and stories from the likes of Dutch Mantel, formerly known as Zeb Coulter. You get to hear stories from Jeff Jarrett and Jerry the King Lawler. So to me, that was the most interesting episode, yung episode about Andy Kaufman. Because as a comedian myself, seeing the interrelationship of stand-up and comedy and the wrestling world just brings such a smile to my face. So if you guys are a big fan of history and if you guys like watching something from time to time, you'll check out Tales from the Territories.
Yeah, +1 ako just sa Tales from the Territories. Good stuff. There are 5 episodes na nga, so go check them out if you get a chance. All right, my pick of the week is the Uzi Bloodline segment from SmackDown. I think it's pretty obvious why that's the pick of the week. Every one of us really enjoyed it. We're still making references to things being Uzi and not Uzi. So that's my self-explanatory pick of the week. So okay, let's try Rowan's audio again and check if it's working na.
Check 1, 2. My God.
Yun. There. Yun.
Well, what I like is the stipulation where whoever wins will pick their own dream opponent. So, ang lumabas is Shibata. So that's what I really like about the match. And I also like how 2 small guys in Orange Cassidy and Rey Fenix teaming up on the big dude on Luchasaurus.
All right. How about you, Ro? Your pick of the week.
Okay. My pick of the week is from Raw. Seth Rollins versus Austin Theory for the United States Championship. That was a pretty fun match. Siyempre, when they give time to the wrestlers to wrestle, they pull out pretty good stuff, especially when you got 2 high-level talents in Seth and Theory. So if you're still not into Austin Theory as a wrestler, might want to rethink that so he can hang.
All right, let's go through the comments real quick. Yung mga picks of the week. Fred picks the Uzi segment. Bruce picks Rollins Theory. Glendale picks Alpha Academy's Chippendale entrance. Yung Patrick Swayze and Chris Farley costumes nila. Emil picks the Bloodline segment. Si James Andre pala sa Facebook user. He picks John Moxley versus Lee Moriarty. Albert Keane picks the Shinsuke Nakamura and Great Muta announcement. Si Janelle, same pick. Ina picks Katsuyori Shibata appearing on Dynamite. Leo picks the Uzi segment. Ano pa ba? Admin Angelo picks Johnny Gargano's reveal. Lots of Uzi picks for good reason ulit. Lance picks Marina Shafir versus Jade Cargill. Favorite niya kasi si Marina Shafir, guys.
Yeah, it's obviously sarcastic.
Yes. Ian, to answer your question, Seth versus Theory, was it a non-title match?
Yeah, sorry, it was. Sorry, my bad. I thought, it was so good that I thought it was a title match.
Mickey picks I guess the wedding pictures Nina Sheamus and his new wife. Sina Miros, Claudio Castagnoli, and
Drew
McIntyre were also groomsmen at the wedding. So that's pretty fun. Sheamus has been posting more photos over the last few days. So congrats again to the fella and his new missus. Julian also picks the Uzi segment. And Julian, tama na. Sabi nga, 1 lang per person eh. Tigas ng kukote nitong batang to. Anyway, we're about to get to the end of the pod. So, Chino, let's get to your plugs. What's happening outside of the Wrestling podcast?
So this week on the Glass Clown podcast, I have a very special guest who is a flip-top rapper, one of the original rappers from Flip Top. Si Batas joins me
nice.
This week on the Glass Clown podcast. I get to talk to him about Flip Top. I've always been curious about battle rap in the Philippines, especially. So I really pick his brain about that, as well as all his other side projects. Do you know that he's in a metal band? Because I did not. And we get to talk about that on this week's episode of the Class Clown podcast. That drops tomorrow on all your favorite podcast aggregators. For
Chino,
all the things that... Sorry, what's up?
Binatal rap mo ba si Batas?
Hindi. I'm not that quick with it, Stan. Hindi naman ako MC. Kupal lang ako sa TikTok. So kung gusto nyo ako awayin sa TikTok, hanapin nyo doon at Chino Supersize. And for all the things that I'm up to, linktr.ee/Chino Supersize.
All right. How about you, Ro?
All right. First, I got a new cover story on multisport.ph. I talked to Olympian, and a record-breaking pole vaulter, EJ Obiena. So I got to talk to him and write about him. So that's pretty cool. And syempre, if you want to support local wrestling as well, you can subscribe to Manila Wrestling Federation's Gank, or also get a ticket to Noche Buena, which is happening on December 11. It's at you can just get your tickets at tickettome.net. If you get a ticket, you can also get free access to the upcoming Action Novela TV taping on November 13. So it's a good deal all around and pretty affordable as well. But you can also subscribe to the Gank. Just go to manilawrestling.com. It's only for $10 or whatever that is now in pesos. You can pay via GCash as well. So a lot of other things, a lot of good things accessible to you. And also, if you want to try your hand at wrestling, there are 2 avenues to do that in now. First is Escuela de Leon, Jake De Leon's Pro Wrestling 101, held in Origins Athletics. This one is more if you just want to try it, and if you also kind of want to try it as a fitness activity, not really looking to get into the business or anything, you can try that. There's it's at bit.ly/Escuela de Leon. And then there's also the Manila Wrestling Federation Factory. If you have more concrete dreams of being a pro wrestler in the Philippines, if you want to join a company afterwards or get the chance to join a company afterwards, you can do that. I believe the sessions start this weekend, this Sunday actually, but you can still sign up and pay for a spot in those sessions. Just go to the Manila Wrestling Federation Facebook page to kickstart your dreams of being a Filipino pro wrestler. And as always, follow us on TikTok at Wrestling2XPod. I know you get the videos on Facebook and Twitter as well, but syempre, you see it first on TikTok and you see the people I complain about online.
All right. Thank you very much to everybody who joined us, those who tuned into the stream, those who are checking out the audio-only version. Thank you so much for being a part of our regular live stream. We'll catch you again next week, probably for an audio-only, definitely for another live stream as we review Crown Jewel. And I hope to get some feedback from you as we do Tagalog commentary for Crown Jewel on the WWE Network. So on behalf of Romoran, Chino Liao, and the returning Rowen ASH, my name is Stan C, saying thank you to the PNA crew for their work behind the scenes. Please keep your masks on if you can, and get your vaccines and boosters if and when you can. Wrestling Podcast out. Stay Uzi.
Stay Uzi. Peace.
The views and opinions expressed by the podcast creators, hosts, and guests do not necessarily reflect the official policy and position of Podcast Network Asia. Any content provided by the people on the podcast are of their own opinion and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything.